Hey, welcome back to Bobb-z Callahan's Word of Advice. And in this video today, I wanted to tackle the topic. It relates to decisions. And this is on choosing parties and events wisely. And if you're wondering what that means is basically choosing which parties and events you should go to and which parties and events you should not go to. Because I believe, just like there are good and bad influences, there are good and bad parties. And odds are, every single one of us will be invited to some type of party or some type of event, and that social gathering may be a very great and healthy thing, or it may be a very unhealthy thing for us to go to. You know, something, for example, that's really fun and healthy for everybody is like a church lock-in. You know, at a church lock-in, you should find everybody just hanging out, playing games, and just being together as the body of Christ and not getting involved in anything inappropriate at all. Now, something that is unhealthy is a party which has no control and people are getting involved in who knows what, anything which you could think of which is inappropriate, and if it's getting too out of control, maybe some people are testing the limits and some people may be getting hurt. You know, I'm sure you guys can think of either a party you've gone to or a party your friend has gone to, and it has not been a really appropriate or well-controlled party. And it is very likely that all of us will be invited to some type of event which is either healthy or unhealthy. And I think it's great to just discuss this for a little bit, and me putting in my 50 cents on what I believe you should do if you're invited to a party or an event. And if I could put out my 50 cents, I would honestly have to say, number one, if you are invited to some type of social gathering which is healthy, then really you can do whatever you want with that. If you're pretty sure that that event is going to be a healthy thing to go to, then if you got the time to go to it, great. If you can't make it for some reason, okay, no big deal at all. Now when it comes to the bad parties, this is my second point that I want to make, and I believe it's just as important, maybe even more important. When it comes to the bad parties, you really gotta think wisely before considering going to a party which may be out of control or a party that you think is going to be out of control. Let's say, for example, that you are invited to someone's birthday party and you know that they're going to be drinking a lot of beer. I mean a lot of beer. And it may get very crazy. If you were to ask me what I would do in that case, I would probably either not go to that party, or if I did, I would only stay for a short amount of time, and if I noticed people were starting to drink and the party was getting out of control, I would get out of there. In the end, me personally, I don't like to surround myself around many parties or events or social gatherings which are really unhealthy. And I do believe that all of us should think very wisely before we consider going to a party or event which could be unhealthy. Now, if you are going to some kind of event which may seem unhealthy but it's not really out of control, well, depending on the circumstances, of course, and it really depends on the circumstances. You know, you could always go to a party which isn't totally Christian-like, and you could be a good influence on people. Or you could just go and make smart decisions and not get wrapped up in what's going on at that party. But the thing to remember is that, number one, you need to keep your guard up at a party which may be unhealthy. And two, if you start to notice that things are getting out of control, it is okay to consider getting out of there. And number three, when it comes to unhealthy parties, I would not make them a habit. You know, some unhealthy parties are tamed, and some unhealthy parties are just out of control. And it's really just a case-by-case basis, I think, on which you can decide on which kind of party you should go to. In the end, regardless of whatever party or event that you go to, number one, choose wisely if you want to go to it. And number two, in the end, whether you're going to a healthy party or a non-healthy party, just make wise decisions. And don't get caught up in any of the inappropriate or unhealthy acts which some people might be getting into. You know, we only have this life once, and our decisions can make a huge impact on our future life. And odds are, all of us are going to be invited to some kind of party. And in the end, if I could say one last thing about parties or certain events, is that whether they are healthy or unhealthy, sometimes it's easy to get so caught up in party mode that you could make bad decisions at a certain party. So in the end, just always keep your guard up. Always keep your guard up. Don't fall for any unhealthy acts, and just always make wise decisions. And definitely think whether it is wise, if you should go to an unhealthy party or not. As for the healthy parties, that's your call. But for the unhealthy parties, it's a case-by-case basis. In the end, I wouldn't be surrounded by unhealthy parties. I'd like to go to healthy ones. So in the end, just keep your guard up and make wise decisions in this case. And regardless of any event that you go to, just keep your guard up and make wise decisions there as well. And I think if you make wise decisions and think slowly and think over something thoroughly, in the end you should make smart decisions, and not a lot should come back to haunt you from doing that. And with that, this is pretty much all the advice that I have to talk about in this video, and in the end I certainly hope what I've had to talk about will come in handy. Remember, make wise decisions, especially when it comes to parties. I'll come back for another word of advice video.